And we are live.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome everyone to the Orangeville Police Services Board meeting, November 15th. We did have a closed session prior to this meeting, but for now, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:04 p.m. So board members, if I could, is there any disclosures of direct or indirect pecuniary interest?
None.
No, thank you. Seeing none. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda for today?
So moved.
Mary Rose, thank you. Member McIntosh, thank you. All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Again, we were in an in-camera meeting, and so we will convene into the public session at this time. And that'll put us on to the very exciting Inspector Ward report. It's been a while since we had a ward report. I think we had to take some time off to have an election. Darn democracy. But Terry, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the report will be for the third quarter of 2022, and I'm sure you've all had a chance to review it. So I'm not going to touch line by line on everything. I'll just go through a few highlights, and again, if there's any questions at the end, we can deal with that. Moving through public complaints, we haven't had any, which is great. Secondary employment, nothing, so it's good. We move into the Police Service Board report, records management. And again, as you can see with the violent crime overall, from the third quarter, July to September, there's been a decrease, which is great. That's what we like to see, especially in violent crime. And again, we can look at kind of the numbers. It's good to see sex assaults are way down, as 5 in that period of time for 2022 as compared to 14 in 2021. Assaults, a slight increase, 26 as compared to 21. Again, you know, we see an increase. And again, don't get excited by the percentage change when it says 200%. But again, robbery charges, again, 3 in 2022 as compared to 1. And then a decrease in our other crimes against persons. So when we look at year to date, as you can see the numbers there too, a couple of the things that stand out again are the assaults. And when we look at 2021, again, a lot of people in lockdown at that point, not a lot moving. Now we get more of our restaurants and drinking establishments that are a lot more busy, and that increases the calls for service for sure. And again, when you look at the overall calls for service, again, not a huge increase, but when we look at year to date for those violent crimes, 121 last year at this period and 174, so 43% increase. Property crimes, which is good to see overall. Property crimes are on a negative swing down, so that's a good thing. The only part that goes up is the frauds, and we still are dealing with a lot of the telephone and internet frauds, and that's consistent. And unfortunately, it's sad to say, but people are still falling for it. And I don't know how we get through to people that, you know, that it is a trick, it's a fraud. People are trying to defraud you. We had another one this week with an elderly couple, and again, they got swindled. And you know, we put media campaigns out, we tell people, but it's still and the one this time was again that grandparent scam, right? And that's people are still falling for that. So when we go through the numbers there, as you can see, our it's good to see our break and enter numbers are down. Theft overs are equivalent. Theft unders are down, which is good. Again, the only thing that appears to be up is the whole fraud section. Mischiefs are down, which is nice again, right? So again, a decrease in that whole property crimes area, which is good to see.
Right.
Drug crimes, again, as you can see, bit of an uptake in the whole trafficking piece. And again, that's there's a lot of good charges and good work being done by our community street crimes unit, and a lot of the drug crime coming from the south and coming into the city, and we're our investigators are definitely making targets and having some success that way. But again, the increase is concerning, right? It's something that is in our communities, and we definitely want to get a handle on it. That's for sure. Moving on, this next one is this chart is just basically an overall snapshot of the number of charges that have been laid. And again, when you look for the third quarter, the numbers definitely, I'll argue with anybody that not a lot of good work's being done. When you look at the numbers, you know, like 3,100 over almost 3,200 Highway Traffic Act charges in 3 months. And for a total, when you combine the whole thing, you're looking at 3,500 charges in a 3-month period. That's a lot of work being done out there. So a lot of praise to the officers that come in every day and they do a really good job in the communities. So, and unfortunately, and I can say this here, and I have Mono tomorrow, and I'm sure Mayor Creelman, he gets his back up when we talk about how many of those charges are going to get thrown out because of the JP issues, right? So.
Agree on that with the JP issues is just it's so backed up, right?
Between that and they just don't have enough. The JPs.
They don't have enough JPs.
Yeah, and you know they prioritize when it comes to traffic court, and if they all of a sudden have bail court, the bail court takes priority and the traffic court gets suspended, and then a lot of the charges get either stayed or pushed over or withdrawn. So
interesting, eh?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, it all stems from, and I think it's section 11 of the Charter of Rights that guarantees the right to a speedy trial. So people take advantage of any delays in order to make that defense, and it's reached epidemic proportions.
Yeah, and I mean, again, though, I make sure that our officers understand that's not something we can control. So we control our job and we do our job, and then the courts have to figure out the rest of it. It's just sometimes it's frustrating, right? So
yeah.
Moving through is just the traffic collision registry, and again, you're right. You can see the incident type, the primary cause. We see, especially within Orangeville, a lot of inattentive drivers. And again, right, it's just not paying attention to what's going on, and bang. So I won't go through.
Why would you say, if I could, just for fun, why would you say especially within Orangeville? You think it's just so slow in town that people kind of...
Yeah, it's a different style of driving in town, right? Than when you're out on the highway. So yeah. And so then when you get into that inattentive mood where you're more focused on the radio or looking around at the Christmas lights, bang, right? On the highway, a lot of times, and I don't want to say always, but people are a little more razor sharp on the highway because their speed is increased, right?
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
That you see that anywhere in any municipal setting, right? There's a lot of inattentive accidents.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And again, just the chart, motor vehicle collisions, as you can see, there's an increase, right? Overall, year to date, last year at this time, 226, and this year we're already up to 321. So definitely, again, it's a lot more vehicles, a lot more traffic, a lot more movement, and at that point, when you get that all together, that turns into motor vehicle collisions, right? Moving into the part 1 and part 3 summaries. Again, for the July, August, September, as you can see, an increase in tickets being written. That's the part 1s, right? As compared to last year, as an uptake there. So we're already at 1,063 for the year, and we still have a quarter to go. So definitely a lot of enforcement being done, and the same with the part 3s. An uptake, especially in September. Last year 4, this year 21. So a lot of enforcement going on out there.
And part 3, again, just for everybody, is
a fine over $500 automatic, like a court. Yeah, it's a court appearance, right? So false alarm registry, as you can see, for July to September, 71, which is substantially high in my thoughts, right? 71 false alarms. So that's something that definitely needs to be looked at. So just some action plan results. As you can see, foot patrol year to date, 484 hours. So the officers are getting out and walking around. Ride hours, 326. So as you can see, again, lots of ride being done. And now that we're getting into that festive time of year, that's going to ramp up even more. So take heed to the drinking and driving, right? We're going to get you if you're doing that. So
Inspector Ward, I'm wondering, just looking at the false alarms, I know this is a PDF we're looking at here, but do you report that in a format where the columns can be reorganized? I'm thinking if the location column could be organized to show, groupings of the same address.
There is a few in here that are repeat offenders.
Absolutely.
The way they're pulling it off the system, they're just pulling it off by date, right? So if that's something that, Mary Lou, when she gets it, if she wants to rearrange it, then that's fine. I have no problem with that. But we're just going to pull it by date from our system, right? We just started at the 1st of July and we go to the 30th of September. And what we get is what we get. It's pumped into that form and forwarded on.
That's fine. So Mary Lou, if I might suggest that when you get the PDF, just convert it to a Word document, and that will allow you to manipulate it that way.
Okay. Another job.
No, or I'll do it. I like doing that stuff.
You take it on then, Ian.
It's the limit of my word processing skills.
Hey, Ian, I'm looking for an admin assistant. You want to come work for me?
Anytime, any place.
My answer would be no. No.
Hey, you might like it here.
As long as I can have a hat and a vest.
Hey, I'll give you that. I'll give you 2 of each. As long as you don't ask for a gun, Ian. So again, just go back, trouble with youth occurrences, as you can see, year to date, 93, minimal 6, 9, and 8 through that 3-month quarter. Again, the mental health occurrences, as you can see, this is where we get into our whole MCERT program and a lot of the stuff that's going on there behind the scenes, working with our partners. There's an uptake in mental health and a lot of our work is dealing with that and some of the time lags through taking these people to the hospital and different things. And again, nothing slagging them. They're busy and they're overtaxed and understaffed just like everybody else. And so it's that whole combination of there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, but those occurrences are time killers as well, right? They take a lot of time. Impaired by alcohol, as you can see, year to date 17. So there's still a lot of impaired driving going on that people aren't getting the message. And arrests impaired by drug, we're at 2. So, 2 is still too many.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're out there looking for that. That's for sure. Distracted driving, which again is the whole cell phone piece. Year to date, 132 charges within Orangeville. It's good to see we had a decrease. So it started off high in July at 11, then kind of filtered down. So maybe some people are actually getting that message that we're watching for that as well. And then our auxiliary unit hours, again, 126, 141, 215. I can't say enough about our auxiliaries. They're putting in a lot of time and they do a lot of good work. And again, what more can you say? They're dedicated and they enjoy it. They're having fun, but at the same time, they put in a lot of hours that they don't get paid for. So, but we definitely appreciate them. That's for sure. Moving through again, just some of the media releases that went out. Again, talking about the grandparent scams. I'm sure you guys have all looked at this. Our Labor Day long weekend traffic stats. Again, a lot of good work done over the Labor Day. And it's unfortunate that when you look at it, and I hope I'm not hurting anybody's feelings, but we worked really hard this year on all our long weekend campaigns, and the magic number was 0, and the 0 was for fatalities. And we were successful on all our long weekends this year. We had 0 fatalities and high enforcement. And it's just sad that, you know, lately we had a couple of fatality accidents, and again, not on a long weekend, but it's just, we really tried to have that 0 this year, and we just couldn't get there. So some of our traffic guys were a little bummed out and a little disappointed in that. But I mean, again, we're working hard, and the enforcement's high to try and stop those fatality accidents in our county.
And Inspector Ward, if I could, first of all, I think it's so excellent that your officers would take that so personal, right? It's such obviously loss of life that's a big deal. But I'm amazed at the care that the detachment has, and I think that's excellent. But I'm also very curious about your thoughts on that whole situation. So I think what you're foreshadowing there is this Highway 10. As it goes on through, I guess it's Mono and, you know, just north of us, and a little bit of Caledon as well. What's your take on that? Is there things that we should be doing as representatives here to change that section, or if I got you in an uncomfortable spot and you'd rather not, that's okay too.
No, it's not. It's good food for thought, and I'm not really sure. I don't really have an answer to give you on that right now. Like, what could be done to make it a smoother transition other than widening it, I guess. Yeah, I really don't have an answer for you, Mr. Chair, on that one. It's with the volume of traffic now that comes north and south. It's incredible. And, you know, it used to be they would come, you know, the traffic would come up on a Friday and come back down on a Sunday kind of thing. But it's become now where it's any day that ends in Y, we're getting traffic, right? And it's a matter for us. It's just a matter of keeping that visibility and that enforcement, and trying to get the message across to drivers that, you know, like, you got to drive safe, because yeah, you may be fine, but it's the other person that you're going to maybe cause a problem with, right? So,
Meryl Creelman of Mono has been on this for quite some time, and then our friends in Caledon have also been fairly organized about it as well. And I think, you know, Orangeville's probably going to start to bubble up here too in the next little bit. So it feels like something needs to be done, but
yeah, I mean,
not sure exactly what that is just yet.
Yeah, I know that's a good food for thought and conversation to have, because any type of traffic calming is a win, right? So,
okay, Andy, did you remember McIntosh? Sorry.
Yeah, it's just interesting you mentioned the widening. You just have to look at the amount of fatal accidents on Highway 10 south of here, and it is 4 lanes. So I don't know if widening's the answer.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just know that a lot of charges and serious collisions come from the fact of those impatient drivers, right? When on those 2 lanes, when they want to get going, and they take extra chances to pull out, and somebody's coming, and that head on happens, right? That's there's so many factors, as you know, Andy, like, there's so many factors into what goes into it, right? And we just have to try and control the ones we can, and hope that we don't have those catastrophic collisions.
Yeah.
So just moving on, again, some more stats. We did our commercial motor vehicle blitz, which was very successful this year. It was good to see. Now that we have an officer that's trained as a commercial motor vehicle inspector, we'll see a lot more of that. One of the other things we touched on, again, is some of the data with the Black Cats that we have, and we deploy them throughout the town. And the one I'm looking at right now is we deployed it for 7 days up in Rolling Hills, and it's a 40-kilometer-an-hour zone. And again, we tracked a total of 35,284 vehicles. And again, the 85th percentile of the mean is about 59. So we're looking at 19, the average and the high on the 85 percentile is 19 kilometers over the speed limit, which raises a flag with us. But at the same time, we can see areas that definitely warrant more attention than this area at this time. So it's definitely something we take a look at, and we look at the breakdowns and where we have the speeds and the times. And it's definitely something that's good, but it's not something that I want to say to my officers, we need to spend a lot of time there right now. This is a hot spot. This is just something that it's on our radar. And we definitely, during this seven days, we didn't see a huge problem in this area. So something else we'll continue to keep monitoring and put our black hats out throughout different areas throughout the town. And again, we report back, and it's good information for us to see where we have the problems and where we need to spend some more time enforcing.
Inspector Ward, if I could, as a follow-up on that, the process for the black cat locations. So, you know, certainly residents will contact the OPP or politicians will contact the OPP, and that could be part of your decision-making process. But how else do you decide on where those go?
No, you're pretty much bang on, Mr. Chair. Like we kind of look at the complaints that we get and where the hot spots are, and we kind of get together too, and we kind of decide, okay, like where's an increase in traffic? Where are the spots that we may see a speed problem? And we will deploy them in those locations as well. And we try to keep that, you know, confidential as to where it's going to be and what it's going to look like and so that way we try to get some true data, whether we actually have a problem there or it's just a perceived problem. Because when we get these complaints, and I can tell you right now, you know, I've been a police officer for almost 28 years. And if I'm standing still on a street, I still have a hard time judging the speed of a vehicle, right? And anybody that can tell me they can accurately name it, I'd have a hard time with that one. So for the pedestrian that's out there that says people are flying up and down their streets, so these opportunities, black cats give us an opportunity to see, is there actually a problem there that we need to put resources to? Or is it just a perceived problem that, you know what, 35 or 40 kilometers an hour on a flat stretch, it can look like they're flying along pretty good when actually they're within the speed limit. So it's just nice to have that data to back up putting the resources, because we don't want to pour resources somewhere that doesn't need it when we need to be putting it somewhere else within the town. So
one other leading question. So if Joe Public thinks that they're witnessing an issue, it's an ongoing issue, yep, they should do what?
1-888-310-1122.
Okay. And that is the OPP line to report these things. And
yeah, non-emergent. That's a non-emergent line, right? Yep. Which will put them straight into our communication center, which then an occurrence would be generated and an officer dispatched, and then that way, or they could just ask to speak to an officer, and then they'll get a phone call, right, to say, oh, this is what happened, but it's definitely not, you know, unless someone's life's in danger. Right, then we always say 911, right? Call 911. That will definitely respond. But if it's a non-emergent, you just think it's an area we need to look at, then by all means call the non-emergent number, and we'll definitely follow up with that.
Very good. Thank you for that. And just one further clarification. So with 28 years of service, you started when you were 45 or 50?
Wow, eh?
Let's move on.
This from the guy in the pink shirt. Anyway, okay.
Okay.
So anyway, that had a potential to go right off the rails there.
It did. Thank you for bringing us back.
So that concludes my third quarter report for 2022, and barring any questions, I had a couple other things, but I think it's on the agenda, so I'll just wait to answer that when we get to that piece on the agenda.
Very good. Board members, any questions of what's been presented thus far? No? Okay.
Mr. Chair, just on the Black Cat, I think we discussed this in closed. Did you want to say something about how we're going to report the Black Cat information to the public going forward?
Yeah, so I believe what we've aligned to as a board is once that information has been publicized by the OPP, then the board will share that out in some sort of format, and either it'll be on the, well, it could be on the website, and there may be social media postings as well. So we'll be a little bit more crisp with those moving forward to ensure that we're communicating in the best way we can with the public. Is that what you were thinking, Member McSweeney?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. Okay, very good. So can I have a, oh, sorry, board members, any further questions of Inspector Ward?
No.
No. Okay. Could I have a motion to receive that report?
So moved.
Mary Rose, Member McIntosh, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Inspector Ward. I always enjoy the report, little humor and also some super serious issues, and I do like the stats, so it's good to see. Okay, so that is item 6. Item 7, and this is just kind of closing off a survey that all of the boards had to take, and just if there was any information from the OPP. And at this point in time, it looks like it's not been necessarily analyzed. It's the boards are all reporting in, and we're waiting for your head office to come back and share if anything can be shared. Is that fair, Inspector Ward?
Yeah, that's my understanding. I know there was an email sent out a while ago, and I'm not sure if it came out to the boards or not, that just basically reiterating that the data was received and will be analyzed and I guess updated at some point. And I've got no further direction on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Well, when it does come, I think this group will be very interested to see, so it'll be good. Okay, so a motion to receive item 7, board members.
Ken?
Ken, thank you. Do you have a seconder?
I will.
Mary
Mary.
Rose, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So item 8, and item 8 speaks to the grants that we have. There's a safety and policing grant, victim support grant, and the RIDE grant. Just flipping back to my notes here. So again, that community safety grant, just trying to give everybody a sense overall. It covered off having 2 mental health nurses in our area. There was certainly training that was involved with that. There's linkage with the Dufferin paramedics, and we had approved about $150,000. And thus far, we've spent about a third of that, $58,000, and we have a balance of 91 remaining. And then on the victim services grant, this is where we've got mobile technology. There was a grant given of $27,000. Caledon and Dufferin Victim Services certainly help, and there's training involved. And then the last one is the RIDE grant, and that RIDE grant has an annual, I guess the 2-year program is just shy of $30,000, $14,000 per year, with the whole goal of reducing impaired driving. Board members, would anyone like to ask a question, or Inspector Ward, would you like to add some information to that?
No, I think, I mean, obviously these grants are very important, and it goes towards the community and public safety. And I mean, Mary Lou is a fantastic grant writer, and we utilize her every chance we get. And it just goes, again, as I said before, it just goes to the community itself and betterment of the community and safety of the community. And again, we preach the public safety and some of the things that are happening, and we're seeing good results. And so again, thank you to Mary Lou for her hard work on all that stuff, and some of the officers here. And without that, someone picking up the ball and taking it forward like Mary Lou does, we wouldn't have some of the facilities and some of the equipment that we have. So it's great to keep that engagement for sure, and that's how we evolve.
That's excellent.
So, Mr. Chair, that just reminds me, traditionally, Mary Lou has been involved in the grant applications in one or more of her many roles, either with the previous OPS or the town. And of course, she's now continuing as as board secretary of our board. I'm just wondering, going forward, will Mary Lou continue to be involved in the grant process? I mean, I think everyone's got their fingers crossed that the answer is yes, but I just want to make sure that we recognize that Mary Lou has been straddling a number of different roles quite effectively, but nothing remains the same forever. I don't know if maybe we need to take that offline and have some clarification to it, but I just, I know it was a lot of work and quite time consuming. I just don't, it's something that we should probably address at some point offline.
It's been a hole that I've anticipated. It was a town function, but there isn't somebody at the town that would do that now. So it could be the police services board, but it's probably something we should regroup on and make sure we don't miss.
I think so, because it should be, for a variety of reasons, it should be a paid function, and I just want to make sure that it's not, that we don't just assume that it's going to continue to be part of Mary Lou's role, when that role is, I think, is now going to be restricted to board secretary.
And I'll just add in there that these grants are not easy to navigate.
No.
So you definitely need someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's a council. I think that's a town council thing, or we include it in our budget. I don't know. I don't know which it is, but I know that we can't just make an assumption that it's going to continue.
Good point.
Okay. I'm just thinking, as we're processing this, it's probably something, Andy, you and I should socialize with town staff, and potentially have that as part of a budget line as we talk about. I guess it'd be the PSB budget, but it'd be best if it was under the PSB budget. I shouldn't say best. My thoughts are it'd probably be best if it was under the PSB budget, but maybe that's something you and I could socialize as we go through the budget discussions.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Thank you, Ian. Okay. So that brings us to, I guess, a motion to receive 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. Could I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Ian, thank you. And Member Rose, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
thanks,
So,
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou, I meant to say when Inspector Ward gave you that call out, you really are fantastic. And I don't think people realize it's not necessarily saving us money. What it's allowing us to do is have additional things that this community wouldn't have if you weren't here to do it. So it's not going to offset the operational costs of our policing service. It's making things better. So anyway, we're very grateful to have your skill set, and thank you publicly for that. Okay, so item 9 is Gary Vipund, who is a resident here in Orangeville, has had concerns about noise, as have many residents. And I know in the past we've had your staff communicate with us about things that they're working on, and there's been project initiatives, Inspector Ward, but this email was written, I think it was addressed to you. So just curious, maybe I put you on the spot and allow you to publicly comment on that situation, and see what your thoughts are there.
So originally when I got this email, all I could think of was, oh, Todd went to his neighbor and got his neighbor to send an email to me.
That is not the case.
Anyway, all joking aside, we take those very seriously, and we know there's problems out there with all these cars now, with these modified mufflers and the noise, and we know that's an issue. The problem is, for a lot of it is just getting to be in the right area at the right time, right? And they rip up and down the streets. And anyway, we got this email. We made a little project out of it. We assigned a couple of our traffic officers to focus in on this. We made a 3-day commitment to it. And again, I'm happy to say that one of our traffic officers really took this to heart. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, Mr. Chair, with the officers taking things I don't want to say personal. They don't make it personal, but they definitely get invested in it because they're, I mean, a lot of them, they live in the community, they're part of the community, right? So we made a little project out of this in that whole Xena area. And over the 3 days, I'm happy to say that we charged, I shouldn't say it, it sounds bad when I say that, right? Happy to say, but I mean, we did the enforcement piece on it and we didn't come up dry is what I guess I'm trying to say. We charged 19 people with modified muffler charges. We had 8 speeding charges, 1 cell phone charge, and 1 seatbelt charge for a total of 29 charges issued in that 3-day period in that area. So there was a heavy enforcement there, and we did a media release on that went out to kind of say like we focused on this and this is our results. So definitely Mr. Vipon wasn't, you know, it was a legitimate complaint. He had a legitimate complaint, and we knew that. We've had those complaints. We know it. We've tried to focus on that. And again, it's something that we definitely did get a lot of success on, and we'll continue to, you know, keep that on the forefront. It's just sometimes other priorities take away from that, but it's definitely on our forefront, and we were very successful in our little 3-day blitz in your neighborhood.
That's great. Very good. You know, all joking aside, I certainly have heard that. I just want to make it clear that Mr. Vipon went on his own, and just because I happen to live in the area doesn't mean that the area receives special treatment. The OPP makes their own decisions, and that individual certainly spoke his own mind. It wasn't any influence of mine.
Mr. Chair, I thought you were going to correct Inspector Ward's pronunciation of the street.
Oh, what did I say?
It is Xena Street.
Oh, I said Xena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mono. So
yeah, I know.
Yes.
Erin.
Yeah, you got to get to the area here.
Well,
Okay.
you never invite me to your house, Todd. So.
So can we have a motion to receive item 9?
So moved.
Mary Rose, thank you. Andy McIntosh, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So now we're on to item 10, and item 10 is on here because this board had a presentation in its last meeting from 2 local citizens, and it was basically on autism and what programs could be done here. So we did talk about this in closed, and why it was talked about in closed is the board wanted to make sure that we were following up with things on our end, you know, to make sure that this item was still being pushed forward. And so there was some things that came up. Project Lifesaver was certainly one of them. And Inspector Ward, would I turn it to you to just briefly describe those items for Project Lifesaver and say what the short-term plan is, or would you rather me just kind of natter on? What would you like?
No, it's okay. I can comment,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. I mean,
Okay.
Project Lifesaver is definitely something on our radar, and we're pushing ahead. Our community liaison officer is following up with that. There's some financial issues that have kind of slowed the process, but we're trying to work through those and find an agency, a local agency that will administer the program. And from what I'm understanding is that by, you know, hopefully in early 2023, we'll be proceeding forward. So we'll definitely get it up and running. It's just a matter of getting over these stumbling blocks with some of the financial problems, and then we'll definitely be moving forward. But it's it's a positive thing, and again, it's a good thing for the community, and we definitely want to make sure we get it here.
That's great. Okay. Thank you very much, Inspector Ward. Board members, any comments or questions on this item? No. Okay. There was, just for the public, there was quite a bit of discussion in closed, and I think the summary that Inspector Ward gave just speaks to the questions and the conversations that were had previously. So I have
Mr.
a
Chair,
motion
just to
Oh.
remind
certainly,
everybody and report to the public, we are going to bring this back on to I think our first meeting, the board's first meeting in the new year.
that's great. Thank you, Ian, for that. I appreciate that. Okay. Sorry, guys, I just need, I think everyone has to, all in favor is where we got to, right? Is that right, Mary Lou?
No, we
No.
didn't have a motion to accept the
Oh, I'm sorry.
update from Inspector
Okay.
Ward.
Thank you very much. Can I have
I'll move it, Ken.
Ken, thank you very much. And a seconder if I could. Mary Rose, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay. So that brings us on to item 11, and item 11 is all about our service standards. So what are the items that we have ongoing in between meetings, and what is the cadence to ensure that we're reporting on the right things and meeting dates and deadlines as we go through that? And there's always just a brief discussion here about how we did and any activities that need to be changed. And I think I would turn that to Vice Chair McSweeney and Mary Lou. Do you have any comments on this item?
Mary Lou might, but I do, just to set because we're in public, just to set the background for anyone listening. So the board, this was a number of years ago now, developed a policy on service standards, our own internal service standards that set benchmark dates that are used as guidelines from meeting to meeting in order to make sure that everything that we need to do in order to prepare for a meeting and everything we need to do in order to follow up and make sure that things that are supposed to happen after a meeting get done in a timely way. So for every month we have a meeting, we roll out these service standards, and there are two categories of service standards. There's the pre-meeting set of service standards that provide date guidelines with respect to all of the things that need to happen to set the agenda and to gather the materials together and to distribute the materials and the agenda to board members and to post the public agenda prior to the meeting. And so we test to what extent we meet those standards by looking at how well we've done, whether we did everything we were supposed to do by the guideline dates. Similarly, after the meetings, there's a bunch of follow-up things for preparation of minutes, sending the minutes to town council for review, and then ultimately posting them. So there's a set of post-meeting service standards. So we thought we would do in public is to report on how we are doing, whether we're meeting them or not. And I'm happy to say I went back and looked, Mr. Chair, largely due to Mary Lou keeping us on track. For September, we had a meeting on September 20th. That was our last regular meeting. And the pre-meeting service standards were met with 100% performance. Post-meeting service standards were met 100%. And leading up to today's meeting, the pre-meeting November service standards have been met 100%. So,
That's
Mary
excellent.
Lou, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to say I was so afraid of our secretary that I was early. So no, that's great. Really appreciate that, everyone. Okay, so any comments from board members on that? No. Okay, motion to receive that report then. Member McIntosh, thank you. Member Rose, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. The remuneration report, there isn't anything here to report, so I don't know that do we need to receive a report that has nothing in it? Or can we move on?
I think we can move on.
Yeah, okay, so 12 we skip. 13 is zone 5. Zone 5 has a report in it from the new executive director, Lisa Darling. I did outline some of the items and close that was discussed, and maybe just for the benefit of the public, I'll do that here too. So they were talking about provincial appointees and making the process, somewhat more efficient because some of the boards have been without provincial appointees, and there's also a time lag, so they're going to work on making that more efficient. Mandatory training for board members as we go forward, and then a strategic plan in the fall of 2022 will come out as well. And so I think all of those things are going to help us as we move forward. Member McSweeney, did you want to speak to this at all, or are you?
Just to say that as part of that meeting, and I should have reported on this in close too. One of my comments was that boards need to take a more active role in their own training. You can't just sit like birds in a nest with their mouths open waiting for the ministry to train. That there's an ongoing education and training component within each board's set of responsibilities, and really to make the system work, that has to be engaged as well. So the other thing that I'll just remind you of, Mr. Chair, is that we intend to invite Lisa Darling to one of our, I think, Q1 2023 public sessions so that she can give a public presentation to the board.
That's great. Yeah, I think everyone would benefit from that for sure. Member Rose, did you want to?
Yes, I just wanted to ask Member McSweeney. I read it twice or three times actually, but there was one point made by Lisa that she said, if provincial appointments were not made, that position would be left vacant. Well, that could happen to this board by the end of February. And so you'd go forward then, would you, as a 3-member board and not have 5?
Well, we are a 5-member board to the extent that we're supposed to have 5, but there is the possibility of vacancies, and many police service boards now, part of the complaint has traditionally been that some of them have had to continue with vacancies for extended periods simply because the Public Appointments Secretariat and the ministry did not get around to making timely provincial appointments. So, Mary, in answer to your question, if there is a vacancy on this or any other board, whether it's a drop down from 5 to 4 or from 5 to 3, that would be out of council's control, but a quorum of 3 would still remain. So board business would continue, and the board would simply be in a position where we would be waiting for provincial appointments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion to receive this report?
So moved.
I think Member McIntosh was first, Member Rose second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And this last item here, last item on my page, action register update, item 14, and it is on page 47 in our package. It speaks to all of the initiatives that we have ongoing right now, and what the status was and what the completion date was of each of those items. I think they're fairly self-explanatory, but does any member wish to speak to any of the items? Any questions or?
Just one point of clarification, Mr. Chair, just to remind everybody that we talked about this a couple of meetings ago, and we decided that we would put the action register as an agenda item on both in-camera and public session meetings, and that prior to the meetings, Mary Lou would go over the action register to make sure that there was nothing in the action register that was sensitive or confidential. And otherwise, we would report the same unedited action register in both meetings. But to the extent that there might be a sensitive item in it, then we would report in public a slightly a redacted version of the action register. But happy to say that in the case of today, and I think last meeting, it's the same version of the action register that's being reported in both meetings.
Mhm.
Okay. Very good. So, I guess we need to receive that item if we could, the action register.
So moved.
Mary, thank you.
Ken.
Second, Ken, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This next item 15, I guess it's carryover from changing of the board, to section 10 and working through the objectives and priorities and governance documents that this board would have. And we did discuss this in closed. I don't think we need to have a long discussion here, but Member McSweeney, did you want to give a brief summary of what this item is?
Sure. So just for public, this is one of our board projects that's identified in the action register. We've been working on it for quite a while. It's a governance project, and we are, I would say, we are 2/3 of the way through the draft portion of the project, putting together a set of governance materials that provide a guideline on board governance, as well as the actual governance documents, including our bylaws and all of the oversight policies that we are required to have in place by the Police Services Act and the adequacy standards regulations. So at some point, I think we are going to have this as a standing reporting item in our public sessions. At some point, in addition to reporting progress, I suspect that in Q1 of 2023, we'll actually be reporting on the final result. So that will come in the future, but the project is going quite well.
Very good. Okay, board members, any comments? No, seeing none. Can I have a motion to receive this document?
So moved.
Member Rose, Member McIntosh, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Item 16 is the PSB website review and next steps. This item was discussed and closed as well with some specific action items. Member McSweeney or Mary Lou, would you like to speak to this item and just share in a truncated way what's going to happen?
Yeah, so I'll Mary Lou, you may have some comments too, but just to paraphrase what went on in camera. So we've looked at the wording, the content of the Police Service Board website, and we will be revising the wording to make it a bit more accurate, a bit more user-friendly. One thing that I didn't report on in camera, but I'll report on now, is that Mary Lou and I also talked about the hyperlink. When you search on Orangeville Police Services Board, it used to be, I think this has recently been corrected, so that's a good thing. It used to be that it would take you to the town website, and then you would have to take several further steps in order to get to the Police Service Board page, and I checked a couple of the other police services boards, and their links went directly to their page. So Mary Lou and I talked, and I think she reached out to the IT person at the town to see if that could be corrected. And Mary Lou, I tried it today, and it looks like it has been corrected. So that's terrific.
That's great. Okay. Motion to receive that report.
So moved.
Member Rose, Member McIntosh, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and so this is item 17. Really quite a well-written letter from another police services board, and it's all about buses passing. Ian, we've got you on here as wanting to speak to this and present this item.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about this in camera, and we will when we go back in camera. But I think the distillation of what I think we'll talk about in camera is that this is a proposal by the East Ferris Police Services Board to take some additional steps in order to improve the safety of their school buses. And if you read the letter, those additional steps seem to arise out of a couple of studies and a couple of reports that, we aren't privy to. The letter asks fellow police services boards to consider passing a resolution, and then it, by way of example, gives the resolution that was passed by the East Ferris board. I don't think at this point we have enough information to put this kind of resolution before our board, but what I'm going to be proposing in closed is that we assign someone to find out that additional information and then bring it back to the board in January.
Okay. All right, sounds very reasonable. Board members, any questions, comments? No? Okay. Motion to receive this item?
So moved.
Thank you, Ian. Mary, seconded.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. False alarm reporting is number 18. And basically what this item is we did discuss this in closed, and the board is very concerned about the sheer number of false alarms that are being reported. And for those wondering why we'd be concerned is there's a cost to the town and the taxpayer to have our police service those calls. And candidly, we'd rather them do other things than look after false alarms. So what we'll be doing moving forward is, in conjunction with Orangeville Council, is Terry Ward and his team have agreed to share the reporting information on a twice a month basis. So I guess it's the 15th and the 30th, or the 15th and the 1st. Is it the 30th? The OPP will be sharing that information with our secretary, Mary Lou, who will then relay that to the town. And we will be sending notices out to businesses, and eventually there'll be financial implications for those businesses if they have ongoing false alarms. And there is repeat offenders that are on this list. So we'd like to get at that as quickly as we could. So that's been arrived at. Board members, did I miss anything? Would anyone like to add anything to what I've shared? No? Okay. Could we have a motion to receive that report then?
So moved.
Ian, thank you. Member Rose, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. So that is item 18. Item 19 is a status update on the Community Watch program. And I think I've got this one here myself at this point. At this time, it was brought forward by two individuals, two community-based individuals who wanted to run this program. And it really is a community program. It's not something that the board would execute. It's certainly not something that the OPP would execute, nor would the town do so. And at this point, we don't have anyone who's leading that initiative. So it is brought to the attention of the public in this forum simply because the board wants people to know that we have followed up. And at this point, unless it's brought forward again by a member of the public, it's going to be a dormant item for a period of time. And that's why that's here today. So in closed, we did discuss that. There was a general feeling that we agreed on that. And here we are in open. Board members, does anyone want to speak to that item further than what I've shared? No? Okay. Can we have a motion to receive that item then? Member McIntosh? I have a seconder. Member Rose? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Okay. This next item is approval of the meeting minutes attached from September 20th. It's our regular public session. Has everyone read those meeting minutes? Anyone have any questions or wish to discuss them? No? Okay. Can I have a motion to receive those meeting minutes? Member Rose and a seconder. I have a seconder. Member McIntosh, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And so item 21, ladies and gentlemen, is just basically, this is the last meeting of this specific police services board. And why it's the last meeting is we have a new council, and Mayor Post and the rest of council will decide on who sits on that. There's two provincial members that will be here for sure at the next meeting. But there's 3 members of Orangeville's contingent, and that's Member McIntosh, myself, Chair Taylor, I guess, and Vice Chair McSweeney. We may not be back, so that will be at the determination of council, and we'll see how that goes. But I guess in this meeting, I think it was a productive 4 years, and I really want to thank everyone. We started off with a completely different business model, and here we are with a new business model, and I think we've just about got him trained, so it's good. Look at the look on his face. No, we appreciate everything that you've done, Inspector Ward, and it really was a wonderful time getting to know the OPP and, of course, yourself. And I think we did good things together, and hopefully we'll all continue in some capacity as we move forward. So as chair, I guess just as heartfelt as I can, really appreciate each of you. And to sit on this board, I think people wouldn't understand the amount of work and the amount of time that went into this board. It really was a lot of work. I was glad to do it, and I know each of you were too, but I leave this last meeting personally feeling very satisfied with what we did, and I was grateful to be shoulder to shoulder with each of you. So thank you. Thank you to each of you. Did anyone else want to speak to that as we have our last meeting, or? No?
Mr. Chair, I'll just add my 2 cents. It's been a good board. There was a rocky, at the start it was a little rocky, and I think everyone would agree, but it smoothed out, and it's a good bunch of people that take community safety to heart, and that's who needs to be on that board. And whether anyone comes back or you don't, you move on to new things. I mean, public safety is not just the responsibility of the police and the board, it's everyone's responsibility. So if you're back, great. If you're not, then make sure that you continue to push and evolve with the whole community safety piece.
That's great. Thank you, Inspector Ward. Okay, if no one else would like to speak, then that brings us to
Andy.
Andy wanted to speak?
Andy
Oh,
wants.
I'm sorry, Andy. My apologies.
That's okay. As the one individual who will not be back, I just wanted to congratulate this board. Coming in late, it was an eye opener for me, and the amount of work you folks have done was a surprise and amazement to me. It's certainly a board that got things done, and I just wanted to congratulate the board, as this will be my last meeting, and thank you for bringing me on halfway through. So thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Andy.
I don't think we know that officially. Maybe you know something, maybe you've had conversations, but we'll see. I would imagine the mayor would like to sit on the board, so we shall see. Okay, so 2 other little announcements. So there's a council inauguration meeting next Monday. So the new council will go into service on November 21st. And the first council meeting will be on November 28th. And I imagine in that meeting, there'll be discussions about committee appointments and making sure that there's continuity and whatnot. So more to come on that. I don't think there's anything to be shared on, oh, wait a second. I'm sorry, what is that, Mary Lou? Why do we need the motion that the board receive the report from the in-camera session? There isn't anything there, is there? I don't think so.
No, there isn't.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
But there will be. There will be.
In anticipation of.
Yeah.
There will be. So I think all we're doing is receiving what you just said.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And so then item 23.
But we still need to have a motion.
Do we? Okay. Thank you for that. So can I have a motion to receive item 22?
So moved.
So moved.
Ian and Member Rose, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So number 23 is when is the next meeting? And the next meeting will be in January of 2023. And at that meeting, we'll put together a schedule and determine what happens after that, depending on the new people. And we know a location. And the plan at this point And again, I know the province today went forward with a masking suggestion. I guess it's not a mandate, it's a suggestion. But we shall see. Hopefully we're all going to meet in person in January. There will be a hybrid option, so you can still meet online. But the idea would be is we'll be in council chambers and the public will be invited. And if they want to be face-to-face with us in those meetings, they're certainly welcome to do so. We'll see what happens. Knock on wood. So I guess I need a motion to receive that report.
So moved.
Member Rose, Member McIntosh, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. And that puts us at item 24, which is question period. And Mona, is there anyone on the line at this time?
Through you, Chair. No, there's no one currently on the line.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And 25 through 28, there is nothing listed under those items, which brings us to, I was going to have new business. Is there any new business items? I thought we do community watch, but it's actually in the, we had it in the open, so we're okay.
Mr. Chair, I couldn't remember whether we may be getting to this under new business and closed, but was there an item about graffiti that you wanted to talk about?
There was graffiti, yes. Thank you very much, Ian. So Inspector Ward, I guess there has been some incidents of graffiti across the town of Orangeville and some concerned citizens with that. Is there anything that you think that the public should be aware of or we should be doing? Any commentary from the OPP regarding the incidences of graffiti throughout the town?
There we go. No, I have nothing to add to that other than the fact, and I mean, this is something that you know, Mr. Chair, that raises my blood pressure and my temper, is when people witness something that is a police matter and they reach out to a member of council to report it. If you witness something that is a crime or something that the police should be involved in, I'm asking that the people call the police, not your local mayor-elect or council, and report it to then, by the time it comes through to us, we've maybe lost out on something. So as far as the graffiti piece, I know we're looking into it and it's being investigated, and I think there might possibly be a suspect already. I'm not exactly sure, but when it comes to that type of thing, I'm asking people to please call the police directly, and let's not lose that valuable time or possibly even evidence that could be lost while it makes its way through the string and cans, right? So yeah, that's all I have to say to that.
Very good. Well, that's encouraging news that it may be wrapped already. That's great. Okay, any questions for Inspector Ward on that item? No, thank you. Motion to receive that report.
So moved.
Mary, thank you. Andy, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Ian, thank you. Member Rose, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. And Mary Lou, just before we hang up, will we go back into the initial link for closed?
Yes, that's
Go
correct.
back and see closed, and thank you very much for that. So board members will go back in the initial link, and Inspector Ward, thank you very much for your time this evening. Good to see you, and
Thanks, everybody.
we'll see you shortly.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
again
Take
for your
care.
time. Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye.